Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to EFA185. I bust my own balls. That's right, I bust my own balls. And I say this, and I said this the other day in conversation, and they started laughing. And I explained to them what I meant by that. Right, I bust my own balls. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about my inner voice. And those that have been following my podcast and so forth know that I've changed my lifestyle. I changed my lifestyle dramatically. In that change of lifestyle came a lot of good things, very good things. And a lot of things that came from listening to my inner voice. My inner voice that was augmented by the lifestyle that I live. That has been dusted off and polished off, and it's sitting behind an executive desk, and it's observing and it's dictating to me things that make sense, or it'll stop me in my track and it'll assist me to pivot, but I listen to it. And that inner voice is what I want to talk about today, and how I bust my own balls, right? And I say this, and you're gonna get it by the time I'm done, right? Associate, hang with my own, right? Practice what I preach. That voice, this is something that I've been saying for a very long time, and those that have listened to understand. I started in my 40s, I started hanging with my own. And what I found by hanging with my own, the conversations that I always like to go granular, and I always like to discuss in conversation, and I could talk about multiple subjects. And when you find people like that you can go into conversation with conversation comes solutions, and you can actually converse beyond your tabloids and beyond your social media stuff, or beyond your everything that anybody can repeat, right? When you can go beyond that and you can go granular in different types of aspects, right? That's what I hunted for. That's what I hungered for. And in that, find my own in the sense of those that constantly work and understand work. And we don't see it as work. It's just part of your fabric, right? Keep going, right? Keep hustling, and hustling in many aspects. There are those that hustle in the volunteering aspect. There are those that are involved in the government aspect, or the business aspects, or life aspects, right? But they're always doing something. They're always productive. They're always go. They're always growing. They're always climbing the ladder of life. That's what I meant by associating with my own. And I tell people, find what do you love, and hang with your own, associate with your own, right? But when I started looking at myself after my lifestyle, during my lifestyle, and you go through phases, my voice got brighter, like I said, and louder, and it started busting my balls. My voice started busting my balls, started getting on my ass, and started dictating to me like the right path. And in that right path, I wasn't following my own. I wasn't practicing what I was preaching, because I was associating. And I even talk about, and I tell people, family. People say, blood is thick and that kind of stuff. I agree, but so is your health. And when I say your health, the health of those that you love and respect also around you. And if you have a family, and if you have children, and etc., you have to respect that health of yours, because that integral fiber of you, right, the corporation yourself, you're needed. And if you're not healthy, and if you're not in good sense, right, and everything around you gets corrupted, everything around you. So by you being a better you, everything around you will flourish with you. So when I was associating, well, that's it, like I said, in all realms, associating with things that I started realizing they're all little tears, right? For example, if you're against racism, if you're against racism, and you're with somebody that's constantly making racial remarks and that kind of stuff, it's a tear, right? It's a tear. And again, you know your audience, and you know if it's malicious or not. You know your audience. You know, like there's people of colors that use the N-word all the time, but they do it amongst themselves. They know their audience, right? When in Rome. So what I'm talking about is stuff that goes against your integral fiber, and you feel it as a little rip of paper. But if you're doing that day in, day out, that's unhealthy. So when I say I hang with your own, I also talking about internally, how you see life and how you view life, and how you want to become, who you want to become in life. That's what I also meant by that. So I started practicing what I preach. The other thing is self-love, investing in yourself. And I said, it's not selfish. It is not selfish at all. Because by investing in you, by investing in yourself, everything else around you, you're investing in. Because if you're healthy, mentally, soul-wise, body-wise, everything around you will flourish with you. that you love and respect, that you want to be part of, will flourish with you. So that's why self-love and investing in yourself is not selfish at all. It's actually beneficial to everything that you're going to touch in life, right? So when I look at my body, that when I'm busting my balls, my inner voice, when I'm looking at my body, when I say I built my damaged body, I built this damaged body. The knees, the hips, the fatty livers, the heart issue, the sleep apnea, the breathing issues, right? I can keep going on, but I built those conditions. Triple, carpal tunnel, right? There's a lot of occupational, working out of a vehicle for 12 years. It's not healthy for your body, right? But a lot of it, most of it is from absorption and what you're exposed to. So what you consume and exposed to, if you look at epigenetics and epigenomes, those two big things are the biggest killers on earth. But I built that, and nobody else to blame but me. So I started making choices. I started making decisions, and I started those decisions and to improve me, because we know we can live 120 years on this earth. We know that for a fact. We know that my dad, if I'm going to go tangible here, we know that on this earth, that everything we've touched, everything we found, from bones and everything, and I don't want to get into how old and that kind of stuff, but everything that we found on this earth that we were able to test and study, and DNA and all the science, which the science has advanced so much. We know more about the earth and the body and etc. in the last 10,000 years than we know in the last 10 years and the last 5,000 years, right? And that is fact. So what we do know is that human beings can live 120 years on this earth. So, and we know that if you use yesterday's world of real food and that kind of stuff, and nutrient dense, and what we built today, and there's a lot of great nutrient dense knowledge and that kind of stuff, and education on how to consume and etc., and what to be exposed to and so forth, right? If you apply that all the time, that investing in yourself and that damaged body that I built, right? I'm now renovating that. I'm renovating that damage because of what I know, because of the data, etc. And what took me 53 years to build, it's going to take me several years to renovate. But that renovation, everything around me is going to flourish, like I said a moment ago, right? So listen to your good voice, right? That inner voice, you have it. I had it. I knew I had it. I always listened to it, right? I've always had it. It's always been around me, right? But that said, I wasn't practicing 100% of it, right? And then by going into the lifestyle that I did, and the cleansiness, call it what you want, that whole change that transpired with me, augmented that voice. Like it's got a blowhorn, man. He or she, okay? The energy, the mind's eye has a blowhorn now, and it busts my balls. I'm not kidding you. And then when I started I used to teach around this province. I used to teach a province of Ontario, Canada, and I also did stuff around the country and talks and so forth, media, right? But when I used to teach situational awareness, spider senses, right? Your gut feeling, your intuition, all this that we have, that connectivity that we have in our body. I used to teach that. It was a week-long course, but it was a good course, and people would leave that course with some knowledge that they already had, but I make them pay attention to how to use it, right? But those are identifying patterns. If you listen to my podcast back in March, the stuff that's going on today with the governance and so forth, we're in September now, right? When you listen to my podcast and throughout, and people say you predict the future, I don't predict the future. I have identifying patterns. I'm that one guy that gets involved in everything. When you look at my life, and if you look at my businesses, and if you look at what I touch and what I do, and pick up the guitar and whatever, I'm very diversified, right? I step into a lot of realms. So a lot of those realms gave me the gift of identifying patterns. And working 27 years in government in 3 different levels of government, along with my 30 years of businesses and corporations and so forth combined, those are all great identifying patterns. Coming from the hood, like if you were to call it anything, they're known as the hood, right? Coming from the hood with the strong family values, we're all identifying patterns that developed within me. So I just learned how to use that. I've been one of those individuals that's plugged in that way, right? I'm plugged in it. But what happened with living this lifestyle, my identifying patterns got heightened, right? And there's situational awareness, and I tell people, apply it to life. And when I say teach that, what I taught you today, it was for your employer. However, you apply it to life, right? You apply it to life on day in, day out. Day in, day out. That's why I look at all these courses, CPRs, that kind of stuff, and choking if you get it from the employer. Take them all. Take all those courses, because you're going to use those in life. I did. I've actually saved the life of an inmate. I gave mouth to mouth to an inmate, right? I saved the life of my daughter when she was choking, right? Literally choking. And I walked into the situation, right? And then the person was panicking. And situational awareness, my training, my life skill, the CPR, all of it came into practice. Bada boom, bada bing, it was done, right? So if I'm gonna tell people, listen, that inner voice of yours, right? By living the lifestyle that I live, that inner voice of yours will get stronger and bigger. It'll get amplified with a freaking blowhorn. Trust me, your mind's eyes go whoop, right? You're gonna hear the whoop. You're gonna pay attention. So when I look at practicing what you preach, all those kind of things will heighten. And all those life skills that you have will come out. They will come out. And they will make you a better person and everything around you just better all around. Better all around. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA, Equality for All.